Francis Levy, co-director of the Philoctetes Center, and welcome to Living in the Musical Moment, Dharma Jazz. Dr. Ed Nersessian is the co-director of the Philoctetes Center. The art you see on the walls is from the current exhibit, Self-Conception, the True Mirror, that's been curated by Hallie Cohn, who's chairman of the art department at Marymount Manhattan College. And since self-conception is the basic concept of this particular exhibit, we urge you to avail yourself of a couple of items, in particular, the, what's it called, the true mirror, which sits outside in our annex. And when you look into this mirror, basically you're seeing a mirror image of a mirror image. In other words, you're seeing the opposite way in which you're usually conceived, and it's the way other people see you. I've said this before, I looked in the mirror, and this all I can say was I wasn't happy with what I saw. Lastly, that all Philoctetes, we are simulcast right now, and all Philoctetes programs, wherever you can always see them at the time in which they occur, if you simply go to our site, and all previous programs are on our site, and you can just, by going to past programs, you can see them by simply pressing the button on the program that you want. I'm now pleased to present Louis Porter. Dr. Louis Porter is a jazz pianist, author, and educator. He's professor of music at Rutgers University in Newark, where he is the founding director of the master's program in jazz history and research. He's the author or co-author of 6 books, including the acclaimed study of John Coltrane, His Life and Work. He's written numerous articles, line notes, and edits a book series and a scholarly journal. He's performed recently with such artists as Wycliffe Gordon, Ravi Coltrane, Dave Liebman, and Jeff Coffin. His latest CD recorded live at Siena Jazz is Italian Encounter. Jazz Times recently described Porter as a hell of a pianist. So take it away, Louis. Thank you.
We call ourselves Dharma Jazz. Till we find something better, that's what we use. And there is a website, dharmajazz.org. At the moment, there's not there are some recordings on the website, about 20 minutes worth, I would say, but we don't have a CD yet. But we do individually have done a lot of recording, and actually we have CDs with us, if you're curious, at the end of the performance of us in various settings, but not in this exact setting. And what we're going to do today, what we're doing in this series, which we're calling Living in the Musical Moment, is to talk about what we do. So you'll get to hear us play, but you'll also get to ask us as many questions as you like. And you may have some already because, yeah, right. The more personal, the better, right? Right, Badal? The more personal, the better. Just to be sure you know the people in the group, and then right off I want to know what your questions are about that first number. But we have Vic Juris, who's a brilliant guitar player. And I don't need to repeat the biographies. You have them. There's a sheet of biographies going around, so you can learn if you don't already know Vic Juris. He's one of the brilliant jazz guitar players, and I knew he was great. First time I ever heard him, which was, not to date ourselves, was around 1975 with Barry Miles' group. And he sounded great, but he's really phenomenal. We're very pleased to have Karttikeya on percussion. And the famous Badal Roy on tabla. Several of you, as you came in, said, oh, I saw Badal recently at Symphony Space, and I saw him at this gallery here. Of course, he famously performed with Miles Davis and with Ornette Coleman over the years. So he's when in the jazz field, when we want a tabla player, this is the guy that we talk to, you know. So no, don't say it like that.
Because I'm not a jazz musician.
Okay, well, tell us more.
I just play some sounds.
Okay, okay, I like that. Well, jazz people love his sounds, but not only jazz people. That's true.
I just play some sounds.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. But I'm going to start, if you don't mind, by asking members of the group some questions, and then we'll raise your hand. Let me know what your questions are. My dear Karttikeya, if you don't mind. What we're going to do today is, and at each of these events, is to present a variety of kinds of improvisational situations. The group Dharma Jazz, as you can tell from the name, we're interested in Indian music. That's a particular interest of mine. I've actually worked with musicians from India going back to the 1970s, you know, when Vic and I were 3 years old each. Remember that, in the Sandbox? Remember when you were playing guitar in the Sandbox?
In 1975 I was.
Yeah. You were, in the Sandbox, I remember that.
Maybe not.
He sounded good then. But so we have a special interest in music of India, but not only. And I'm going to start, though, by asking Karttikeya, what were you singing or chanting?
We started out that song Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock with...
The song was Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock.
I started out with Vedic mantras, Vedic chants. They're in Sanskrit from India. Vedas are purported to be the oldest scripture or teaching on the planet, you know. But anyway, they've been chanted for thousands of years, regardless. And I did two chants, two verses that are both for peace. There's a traditional chant called Pancha Shanti. Pancha is 5, and Shanti is peace. At the end, I did Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And it's much longer to do the whole thing, so I did those two. And they're basically, those two are asking for harmony between the three worlds of existence, the physical world, the astral world, the mental plane, and the causal plane of existence, where it's said that the gods, or God lives, exists. And so it's asking for harmony between those three planes of existence, and it's appropriate to ask for that at the beginning of any undertaking. It's traditional to chant that one at the beginning of classes and things like that. And we just recently decided to throw it in and see what would happen. And
at our last rehearsal on Monday, Karttikeya said maybe we could use our voices in some ways. I said I'd love to. And then he started chanting and I started playing Maiden Voyage, and we realized that they worked well together. Now, about Maiden Voyage, about Herbie Hancock's song, we didn't actually play the theme of that song. right? So, Vic, if you don't mind, could you show them what the chords are, or what the, what it's based on, what Maiden Voyage is based on? Because that's all we did really, is play the basis of it.
Well, it's based, it's 32 measures long, which is like kind of a standard popular song format, and it has 4 chords, which are this, back and forth, and then there's like a released bridge section, and there's these 2 chords. And without getting too musically technical, that's basically it.
Yeah.
It has those 4 chords.
And we improvise over those. So we didn't actually play his theme because Herbie Hancock has a theme that goes. It's a fairly simple theme anyway. And the thing is, I just like to set up kind of we call it a vamp, just set up a groove. That's what I did. That's my groove that I like to do, using those chords. So I mean, you could. It wouldn't be too totally unfair if I wanted to, collect money for that myself. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be too totally cheating because
you might want to split it up 4 ways.
Maybe because this might be a hit. I can see it's going to be a hit. But technically, the chords of a song are not copyrighted, and so because we don't actually play his theme, and the groove is my groove and everything. And what about the tabla groove? What did you come up with for that, my dear Mr. Roy?
This particular one?
Yeah.
I played several though, but it was just a 4/4 groove.
Okay.
Now this is hot. This is nice.
Oh, you can hear it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Play again, play. I guess when I will talk, I'll say.
Because later we're going to ask you to really explain what you're doing there. We'd like some details.
Yeah, okay.
And so this is an example of an improvisation that's based on something very specific. People always ask, what is improvisation? You just come up with something out of thin air. That wasn't out of thin air. That was more thick air. We had something very specific that we were improvising on, which are those 4 chords that come in a certain pattern. We know when they're coming. They come every 4 measures. So we know when they're coming. And there's a timing to it, in other words. And that's actually the most typical kind of improvisation is based on a sequence of chords that comes at a specific timing. So that's the most typical kind. But we'll do a few other kinds of things today. And we'll also do some where the timing is a little trickier. So far, have you found some questions? Yes, ma'am.
Jack Harrow's book, Dharma College.
Oh, right.
No,
Music?
not caught it.
He uses the word Dharma.
I think it's Dharma Bums.
Dharma Bums, which there's a rock band named after that, but we're not bums ourselves. But
Speak for yourself.
we weren't thinking of that, but the word Dharma.
Not yet.
The literally meaning of dharma.
Okay.
Dharma. The literally meaning of dharma is religion. That's
Okay.
it.
Oh, that's literal.
It's religion.
Okay.
It's a religion.
Okay.
So, let's say I'm a Hindu, you're a Christian, somebody's Buddhist.
Right.
Dharma is, the literally meaning of dharma is religion.
Okay.
Or way, or
Or way.
path.
Or
That's
way.
the way, dharma. This
path.
is the way.
Okay.
This is the dharma.
So literally it's religion, but it's used to mean your way or your
Yeah.
path.
Yes, your path.
Is it
Dharma.
used in other ways?
There's lots of other subdivisions of the use of the word
Yeah.
dharma.
Okay.
It applies to individuals, it applies to families,
Yeah.
applies to society, and that in terms of like the best path.
Okay. Okay.
So Dharma jazz
it's
is
like it can be your dharma is that. It's okay. Your dharma is that.
I see.
My dharma is different.
Okay.
So that kind
Okay.
of thing.
so to say
It doesn't
Dharma.
have to be religion all the time.
But that's where it comes from. That's
yeah,
the origin
yeah,
of it.
yeah. That's the origin. Yeah.
Interesting.
So to say Dharma jazz is it implies it brings in the Indian element that we're bringing into the music, but it also implies that jazz is our Dharma. That is our way.
Right.
That is our path.
Well.
Uh-oh, let me quit the band. Jazz is not my dharma.
Too late.
Playing sounds is my dharma.
Jazz is
Playing
within
sounds.
our Dharma.
Yeah, it's
playing
part of
sound.
our dharma.
You know, I'm going to fight with him soon.
All right. You don't have to sign a contract to that effect.
I've got all these sticks.
You know, I can get really philosophical, you know. Ask the sound. Sound doesn't know whether I'm Christian, Buddhist, religion, or anything.
Right.
Take the caste system out from sound. Sound doesn't know I'm acid jazz or classical. Sound doesn't know anything. Ask this sound whether this sound is from India. Sound even doesn't know anything. Just ask the sound. Am I correct? Ask the sound. Where are you from? Sound doesn't know. It's only us. You know, we go to a store. You have 1,001 kinds of music.
Categorizing.
Yeah. So we are doing that. I wish sound knew that.
Ah, that's good.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that, I guess it's been doing for 30, 40 years ago. Sound, it's called healing sound.
Okay.
How each tone could be connected
Yeah.
to one of your chakras. I was wondering if you actually do a piece where you cycle through the chakras to get a spiritual tune-up.
Right. We don't do something like that. He's asking if we do a piece that uses the chakras and ties in spirituality with the music. I mean,
we can do it next time.
we can do it.
We don't do it consciously.
Yeah.
Right. We're probably doing it. How's that?
At least not yet.
Yes, sir.
Are the chords always rooted in the notes of the theme?
I would say it the other way around. The theme is always rooted in the notes of the chord.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be a better way to see it. But yeah, they're connected, and a musician who only has a very basic knowledge, who knows, for example, C major scale and C major triad, would be able to start to see those connections. So let's put it this way: when you're first learning to improvise, you stick. You know, literally, you just play the notes of the scale. I mean, we've been improvising a little bit longer since we got out of the sandbox there with Vic. And at a certain point, you can be a little more free. You just know certain things that will sound good, and they don't have to be literally in the scale. But you always are basing it. You always use the scale as your foundation, kind of your starting point, you know, and ending point too. Yes, sir.
How does the group's mentality of bringing jazz and Indian together compared to like Shakti?
Yeah, good question. What do you think?
Well, I would echo what Badal says. Is we can talk about it that way, but we don't really think about it that way.
Sure.
We just are coming together to play music, and we each have our diverse background and our individual personalities and tastes and all that, and it just all comes together and blends together. And like Badal said, we're just coming to play music and make all these sounds and try to get them to work together. And
if you're familiar with the group Shakti that was put together by fabulous guitarist John McLaughlin, if you're familiar with that group, that repertory is very largely Indian-based. Like, they didn't do something like Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage, and we're going to play a blues for you also. So in a way, maybe we're a little more eclectic, you know, taking things. But one thing that I do, this isn't my book, so I'm not looking to sell it, but it's a very good book for musicians called The Raga Guide that has I think 74 different Hindustani ragas, North Indian ragas, and it gives has 2 pages on each one, tells you the notes to it, how it's usually played, and has a recording demonstrating each one for about 5 minutes. And I do consciously go through this book sometimes to find interesting scales for us to play on. And there's one that we're going to use later, because that scale from Maitum Gamelan came out of that book. You know, so this is one kind of conscious way to bring Indian music into it. You know, but I also agree with Karttikeya that it's really just the 4 personalities and how we meld. Feel free if you need to sit down. Now's your chance. I'm sorry. Okay. So maybe that blues in F that was in a 9, it was like a 3 and 3 3. How does that sound? Like we were thinking, it was like kind of like an all blues kind of feeling. It's like da 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 dee, da 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 da. That the C would be great for that. Yeah. Which table he wants to know because they're in the tune to different keys.
Give me a C.
Uh-oh. That's pretty good. Even drums have pitches, So let's try this one. One of the things, Badal's always asking us to play in rhythmic patterns other than 4. Western music is very common. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He has to tune his drum. I'll give him a second to do that.
Go ahead.
But because in India they do that all the time, they have patterns of 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, whatever. So this one it's not 2-way out. It's 9. It's a 9-beat pattern. We're going to do a blues in F, but with a 9-beat pattern. So to start with, let's just do like a couple of choruses, then stop, just to kind of demonstrate it. So we're going like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think it's where we went. Da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da, like that. 7, 8, 9. 1, 7, 1, 5. So we call it a blues. A blues is another structure from African American music. It has certain chords, and they come in a certain sequence. Again, we know what to expect.
Too loud.
But this time, instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So to keep Badal happy because he doesn't want to do 4 all the time.
No, in this one I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
See, that's really all he has to do. He doesn't have to think 9, right? He doesn't have to think 9, actually.
What is there in counting? Just play from your heart.
There you go. I like it.
Shall I start again?
All right, so let's start again. This time we'll play through it a little bit. questions about that one? What did we do wrong this time? Anything? The blues, any kind of blues, is a very comfortable environment for jazz trained people to improvise in. As far as, I'm also a jazz historian. Among my books are some jazz history books. And as far as we can tell, the blues was the first medium for jazz improvisation. That was on the very earliest jazz recordings, the blues tunes are always the ones with the most free improvising, and the other ones, they tend to stick fairly close to whatever the melody is. So I always love to play the blues, And Shakti doesn't play the blues, so that's something definitely missing there, We love to do that. Yes, sir.
It tended to have a trans-reducing effect on me. And wondering,
right.
Is that part of what, especially your drumming, started to set up a particular pattern?
Yeah. Did you notice a few people were walking around the room like this? Did you notice that, Vic?
Was that me?
Maybe it was you. I couldn't tell who it was. What do you think? Is there a trance element in Indian music?
Yeah, I think the sound,
Okay.
This is,
Hypnotic.
Hypnotic, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you don't take advantage of it. But once you have people hypnotized, you don't say, now give me your credit card or something. You don't do things like that, right?
We can't admit to that.
We can't admit to it anyway. We wouldn't want people to know.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
That's true. Yes, ma'am.
I'm in recovery from drug addiction and alcoholism
Oh,
for the past 18 years. So what
good.
what I continue to cherish is my freedom to seek that pure experience that I used to get when I did those things.
Okay.
And this has been a glorious afternoon for me.
Oh, that's
because
great.
you have captured the feeling that I used to chase while I was hurting myself in a very natural and spiritual sense. So I thank you for that.
I thank you. That's a marvelous comment. I appreciate
fantastic.
That. It's something, if you couldn't hear, it's something on the order of a natural high. That we're getting a natural high doing this.
How long are you in?
18 years.
18 years in recovery. Your recovery's how long now?
It's been 18 years that
It's
she's
been
been
18 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
In drug-free.
I was in a coma for 5 months. It was the best rest I ever had.
Oh, well, sometimes that's your body saying, this is it. Make it or break it.
You look only 36 years old, so you're okay.
Yes.
You'll be a member of my wedding party.
Good attitude. Yes, sir. We have a question over here.
Can you comment on the relationship between the Indian theory of rhythm and the Western theory?
Well, there is.
I'm sure. I know it's very complicated.
Is that part of your presentation later, though? Because if it is, we could wait on that.
No, I'm going to.
Because he has a presentation coming up. We might want to.
I'm just going to talk about the tabla mostly. But this one you can answer.
Because there's something that they call additive rhythm. Do you know about this concept, Rick? Where they say that you think of. For example, the 9, we said 3 plus 3 plus 3. We were thinking of it, but you could also break up 9 in different ways.
Oh.
Couldn't you?
Yeah.
You add it up to equal 9.
Let me divide 9. Okay.
Okay.
Let them.
At least let's do that part.
Anybody? That 9 also grooving. I'm doing I'm doing 4, 2, and another 3.
See, it adds up, additive rhythm.
So 4, 2, and 3 is 9.
Play it again, and I'll count it with you while you do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh wait, 4, 3, and 2.
4, 2, and 3.
4, 2, and 3.
So.
Look, math wasn't my subject. What can I tell you?
So this is 1.
4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2,
3. Listen, 9 can be. Nine can be, I can say the word, nine can be funky too, all right?
Yeah, that's a very hip, I love that nine, it's very hip.
These are all my composition, I mean, because, I'll talk later.
Yeah, it's going to tell us about it, because these are not traditional Indian rhythms that it's using, but the additive concept is the same. You had a follow-up?
So how might a Western drummer have worked with that? I mean, you were playing the nine for this blues.
Right.
I guess what would I guess.
It's a different instrument too.
No, I'm aware of that.
It's a drum set, but I mean, it's a
Western drum is
it's a different it's just a different concept.
Well, that's I guess.
You know, it's just a different. It's just a different. It's different harmony. It's a it's just a different approach, but it's really the same thing.
I mean,
it's environmental. It's where you come from.
Now you got everybody confused. What happened? I'm sure Vic will agree.
It's all the same stuff.
Well, but that's going to make sense in a minute, because the thing is, we all know about this additive concept. Now, Indian music is beloved among jazz musicians, but what is different when you play it with a Western drummer or a jazz drummer, for example, is you just say nine and they play nine whatever way they want. They break it up differently in every measure. So they may not actually think in terms of breaking it up. They're not really adding it up, say, okay, this is 4 plus 2 plus 3. They're saying, oh, it's 9. I'll break it up any way I feel like it, kind of go with whatever I feel like. So it's kind of a looseness in that sense, which is nice. But on the other hand, you don't have the precision that you get with the Indian approach. You see what I mean? So it's more just thinking of the global 9. It's just kind of a global thing. Yes, sir.
Question with the rhythm again. Just your experience, like, the rhythm of the mother's heartbeat.
Right.
And then this guy was saying that.
You kept saying this guy. There's somebody particular?
The guy that wrote that book about the healing power of music.
Oh, a book about the healing power of music. Anybody know this?
He was also talking about just the rhythm on the beat, like if American tom-tom Indian music energizes you, with typical rock and roll, where the beat is on this, I can't remember, on the 2 actually tires you out.
Well, jazz is on the 2, but I don't know if you guys have opinions about this. My feeling is that I know there are theories of why does rhythm even appeal to us, and one of the theories is, well, you hear the rhythm of the harp and you're in the room. That may be so, but going beyond there, I always feel is where they get into trouble, because all kinds of music can have a beat that inspires you to move. The stuff we're playing today can do it. Jazz does it for some people. Rock does it for other people. And so I really can't see these kind of theories that say one has a better beat or a worse beat because of such biological reason, because it doesn't tie in with my experience. My experience is it's better for somebody and not better for somebody else. So that's where I have a problem with those particular approaches. Maybe it all does come from the heartbeat. I'm not sure about that. Though I don't think the heart was 4 plus 2 plus 3. So even there, it's like, a heartbeat's variable. It's not like this, Yes, sir.
I would offer on that that's the heartbeat is one rhythm of nature that's out there, but there's many, many, many.
There you go.
Unlimited.
Okay, I like that.
But also, especially the Indian instruments are said to have been formulated, and the rhythms to many of them, maybe not all of them, but to kind of bring through the inner sounds you might hear in meditation, sounds of the chakras, like you said, and other sounds, celestial sounds. So they're trying to do something different than emulate the heartbeat, So and just like the diversity of life, it's the diversity of sound and rhythm, and we need it all.
Right. Now, it's also possible, not everybody can do it, strangely enough, and not even all jazz musicians can, but it's possible to improvise without anything pre-planned. And so I'd like to try that now. And but if you don't mind, I'd like to plan a little bit just in terms of organization. Here's my idea. If you don't like it, go ahead. It's only all over the internet on the world now. You might as well tell me you don't like the idea. But here's what I have in mind, Badal. I'd like to use some of the effects that I have here. I have some kind of nice effects.
Go ahead.
And then go into something after a while. Once we go in, then come on in.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Okay. Go ahead.
I've already started. This is the beginning.
Bravo.
Yeah. You can relax.
Do not play with
Yeah. Vicky, relax for a minute.
So, the thing about this, it's all about listening. Could you hear us listening? It's all about listening, right?
Yeah.
We're listening to each other the whole time. Oh, what's he doing now? All right, kind of making decisions. You make decisions on the fly there. Not all jazz. I would say many jazz musicians don't do that. In my experience, don't play free. I call it playing free. So you may be surprised by that. People think well, jazz means you always just play whatever. But most jazz musicians want to have the timing of the chords. That's what they rely upon. That's traditionally how jazz is done. Playing free is a small subgroup of jazz musicians. But I love to do it. What do you think?
Yeah.
I like
we love it.
Sure.
But do you agree with me? Not all jazz cats can do that.
I can't.
Oh, well, thank you. That's nice of you.
Well, not everybody's interested in it.
Well, not everybody's interested. That's true. A lot of people just want to work with chords.
Capable of doing it.
What's that?
A lot of people are capable of doing it, but they...
Well, that's true, too. They don't really work at it. It's not something they're really looking to do. And but there are cats who just can't. They just don't think that way.
Yeah.
We say cats. Cats means musicians. Musicians are cats, we always say. But
Cats.
any question about that? Yes, sir.
Well, are you really developing the timing on the fly? In other words, you start out with no time, but listening to what the other guy is doing, you're constantly revising it as it evolves.
That's maybe a better way to say it. And I will say that for me, I'm very particular. There are free improvisations that just kind of go on forever and start nowhere and end up nowhere. But I'm very big on going somewhere when I'm doing free improvisations and ending somewhere that really sounds like an ending, which I don't know if we really achieved at that time. But I'm very conscious of that. I really like to feel like it's a piece and it's not just noises, So there's a lot of listening involved. And yes, that's a better way to say it. You're really trying to create something, that holds together in some way, hopefully, What else? Anything else about that piece that you were curious to know about but weren't afraid to ask? Yes, ma'am.
I heard like kind of a gamelan sound.
Well, that was this one. It's a vibraphone. Well, actually, later we're going to use... But actually, I do have a gamelan sound in here, which is pretty good. It really sounds like gamelan. And I do have
Unless
a piece...
it was the...
Yeah, he's got... Those sound a lot like gamelan. But this is actual a gamelan. This is from a gamelan orchestra. Which is music of Indonesia, if you're not familiar. And I actually have a piece later called gamelan that we'll do for you. But Vic usually doesn't like me to use that sound. You like me to use a Fender Rhodes sound. But that would be authentic. That's actually a pretty authentic sound. Doesn't it sound like gamelan?
I love that sound.
It's very close. That's true. Yeah, it's a community orchestra. It's a whole group of people playing these little...
Do you have any?
Kind of like
Did you bring any
xylophones.
powder? No, not really.
Now...
I also...
Badal, I thought I would bother you now. I know you're busy over there, but...
I'm not busy.
You got a minute?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought I would ask you to... Because I know they're interested in knowing a bunch of things about the drums, how they're played, so forth and so on. Everything you can tell us about them.
Okay. You want me to do that?
Yeah.
Don't go.
It's such a long session, but I love you very much.
5 minutes.
Thank you.
I promise.
He wants you to hear. Is this one part he wants you to hear? Okay.
5 minutes. Let me take my...
It'll be up on the web, later.
Very, very
on the web. Oh, well, you better stay.
Phone calls.
Okay.
Yeah, very quick. They're called tabla.
Now, take your time.
No. I need this hammer because I want to tune this drum. If somebody says I want to sing in A, I want to sing in B, I want to sing in C, I want to sing in G sharp, you need this hammer. Otherwise you play out of tune tabla.
Right.
And you don't want to play out of tune piano. Do you want to play out of tune guitar? No. You can try. Okay. So this tabla has to be tuned.
Yeah.
What is this note? A?
Yeah. That's a.
So I sort of fine tune. This is less than A. If I have to come down to G, I bring this pegs up here and do the fine tuning here.
You make it tighter or looser.
Tighter or looser, all right? So this is A, and what is this key? B.
Yep, that's a B.
So this is a B drum. If I have to go to C, I bring these pegs down, I do the fine tuning here. So it becomes a C drum. And this is like, this is a C drum, no?
Yep.
And this one? Is that D, Vicky?
Yep. D.
That's a D.
Oh, so after you have to tune this drum, you have to have this hammer. And since 9/11, I lost several of them. When I fly, they just take it. They don't give it to me.
Oh my God, I bet they would.
That's really sad, though. Really sad.
My God,
Okay.
that's right.
So now I put it in the luggage, but anyway.
You check it in your luggage.
Yeah, this is a bass drum and should give me a really good bass sound. And you learn the language of the drum. You learn the language of the syllables of the right hand drum. You learn the language of the syllables of the left hand drum, like A, B, C, D, up to Z. This drum has a lot of sounds. And then you learn the language of both hands together. This is na. This is tin. This is tun. Te. Re. Tere kete. Tere kete taka taka. If somebody comes and say play dha, so this our na and ga becomes dha. If you put together, this is dha. This is tin. This is ga. Put together becomes dhin. D-H-I-N. Dhin. This is na. This is dha. So no matter how simple the sentences are, no matter how complicated the sentences are, we sing the sentence, play the sentence after you learn the language of the drum, after you learn language of the right hand. Somebody says, play tun, play ga, play kat, play kradha, play dha din din da, dha din din da. Da din din da, da din din da, da din din da, din din da, da din din da, da din din da, din din da, din din da, da. So after you learn the language of the right hand drum, learn the language of the left hand drum, learn the language of both and together, you sing the sentence, play the sentence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We call it dadra. It's 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dha, di, na. Tu na dha di na dha tu na dha di na tu na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dha di na dha tu na. Tin tin na din na din na tin tin na din na din na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tin tin na din na din na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Din na din din na din na din din na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. These are the simple. If somebody comes and say play rupak, that means play 7. Or we have play dadra, that means play 6. Play kaharva, that means you play 4. Play jhaptal, you play 10. So every beat has their name. Play ektal, that means do you know 12 beats? Play tintal, do you know 16 beats? So that kind of thing. All right, every beat has their name. In some classical line, it's like little complicated line. I sang a whole big line that generally we play with the classical people with the sitar and all that, not in this kind of situation, all right? It's like right, right. Ka is one. Ka, te, re, ka, de, te, te. I played 7 notes. Ka, te, re, ka, de, te, te. Ka, te, re, ka, de, te, te. That's how we count our this thing anyway. Ka, te, re, ka, de, te, te. Ka, te, re, ka, de, te, te. I sang all the 7 notes. So no matter how simple the sentences are, no matter how complicated the sentences are, you sing the sentence here, and then you play your things. So I'm going to play something in 4 or 8. I'll keep the rhythm here, keep the thing inside, and improvise. So our basic 8 beats goes dha, ge, na, tin, na, ge, dhin, na. I played 8 notes. Dha, ge, na, tin, na, ge, dhin, na. Dha, ge, na, tin, na, ge, dhin, na. So I'm going to sing it a little fast. What I'm doing now, I'm just keeping that dhaginatanakadinna inside my body and then improvise whatever I like. Dhaginatanakadinna, tanakadinna, dhaginatanakadinna, tanakadinna, dhagina, tanakadinna, 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 tanakadinna, dhagina.
Beautiful.
Hey, thank you.
Now, other questions for Badal?
No.
Yeah, there might be.
No,
Yes, sir.
I think in playing I have given you every answer.
Well,
that's how I feel it.
He may be a different question.
Okay.
You talked about how you're internalizing that rhythm while you're improvising, and I'm just wondering how that's different. How that might be different than if you were just internalizing four. A simple 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that rhythm that you're hearing change the way you're improvising, or would it be the same if you were just hearing four?
God.
Sorry. In other words, da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. Is that different from 1,
I think
2,
you know what I'm
3,
trying.
4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Would that give you a different? Would that make you play different if it was just 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, that will make me play different. And
Okay.
at this time, what I do is like no bookish, nothing. I have not written it. Whatever I've done now, I cannot do it now again. Each time I do it, if I have done it last 40 years, let's say at least 20,000 times, they're all different.
But he's improvising. He started at kind of a basic groove, and then he just kept expanding. He got off to a really good start too, which doesn't, with a lot of musicians, when you play solo, sometimes it's, you feel like you're drowning, like if you're a swimmer and you're not off to a good. But he got off to a really good start, and he just kept like improvising, and it just kept unfolding,
Yeah.
And then you notice towards the end he did things like little colorations in the sound where he'd like slide his.
That was a good sound, yeah.
You know what I mean? So he had what it really was to me. It was kind of like a good short story. It kind of had a nice beginning in the middle, and it had a nice ending. Just like a whole. It was a story.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll tell you one little story though that happened in '72. I was a busboy. The next thing I was playing with Miles Davis. I was busboy making $40 a week. I got a call from Miles Davis' manager. He says, "Come." I said, "Do you know Miles Davis?" I said, "No." And honestly, I did not. At that time, I came from India, but I did know Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington just went there with his big band and all. Right? I was a fan of Elvis Presley, Pat Boone, but did not know Miles Davis. So what's wrong with that, all right?
Yeah.
Nothing like that. So I come there, I go to Columbia, so I don't know any, except John McLaughlin.
Columbia Records.
Just before that, I did a recording with John McLaughlin. Maybe one of you guys have. My Goal is Beyond.
Yes.
So in that, that's my first album in this country. It was. Oh man, if I have 100 CDs now, that is one of my. If I pick 4 of them, that is one of them. It was Charlie Hayden, Billy Cobham, Ayartho, Dave Liebman, of course, John. I did not know anybody, and I was on the studio. Anyway, coming back to the Miles Davis thing, to tell the little story, because of that groove that So I'm on stage, on the studio, again sitting on the floor like that, first time, and John was right here. Herbie Hancock was sitting right in front of me. And then Jack was here, Jack DeJohnette. And on saxophone, it was Carlos Garnett, not Dave Liebman joined later on. So we are doing this on the corner session, all right? The Miles Davis says, he looks at me and says, "You start." He looks at me and says, "You start." He's standing here, and I'm sitting, "You start." So I still remember the groove I played. That's the only groove I just want to play for a minute, okay? No, not minute, 10 seconds, okay? You start, and Herbie Hancock was right sitting in front of me. And all other guys, M2 on congos and all those guys, okay?
That's a good one.
Herbie Hancock looks at me and says, yeah. I can never forget this, you know. I can never forget this. Okay, let me tell you the whole thing. I have to tell you this experience. I have to tell you. I'm already writing a book on that. And Herbie Hancock starts, and we are playing a minute and two, just me and Herbie, and I'm loving every moment of it. Okay. Then John was here. John starts. I'm loving it. Then everybody starts. The guitar, the bongos, congos, Jack, and for me it was a chaos. It was a big time chaos. It was a big time chaos. And we were playing for an hour, and I'm thinking, I'm sweating inside, and I'm saying, why I am here? Why I am here? Honestly, why I am here? Anyway, tell the story short. After that, I kept on coming and doing Get Up With It, Big Fan. A lot of CDs I have done with him, almost now 10, 12 CDs with Miles. Then the CD, the album, it was album. Album came out. I didn't open it because it didn't touch me here. I just didn't open it. It was 72. 74, I get married. Then, of course, there were other albums I opened, but this one, I didn't like it, so I didn't open it. 74, I get married. 77, my son was born. 95, he graduates from school. He goes to Rutgers in 95. I'm talking about 95. How many years ago? This is 2008.
13 years.
My son was 18 years old. He comes home. He says, Dad, you are on the corner. I says, yeah, so what? This is a classic, and everybody's taking autograph from me because you are in it. You are in it because everybody's taking autograph from me. I said, what? You know what? That CD that he brought, my album is still there. I didn't open it. I opened that CD and I played it. I loved it. I loved it. I just loved it. So that's my short.
That's a great
short story. Okay, go ahead.
Now, what we have in mind, we have maybe approximately half an hour more. Is that too long? What's that? That's okay? Oh, watch out now. But what I have in mind now is for the percussionist to set up just a four Badal, just like a pretty fast flow, so we can do this thing, Vic, this kind of free jam where we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
What do you want?
The B flat would be fine. I mean, I keep forgetting. You don't know.
I just have ABCD.
The A would be fine for that.
D? No, let's do A.
A is fine for that. And
no,
Karttikeya, after this one, I might ask you a few questions about your setup there, if you don't mind. So what we're going to do here is in between free and not free. I want to show you different ranges of freedom in improvisation. And this is all parts of our usual repertory that we do. And I should also mention to you that we're scheduling concerts now. We don't have dates to tell you, but we know for a fact that we are going to be performing in June out of town, and sometime in the summer, maybe in town, I just found out. We'll see. So you can always look at lewisporter.com or dharmajazz.org. The dates are usually in both places. I have a graduate student that puts them up for me. And what else did I want to tell you? That as far as this series, there's probably going to be one of these in June. I'm trying to schedule it right now with a very renowned jazz artist. And there are a couple confirmed already for the fall with some pretty spectacular artists. You'll be surprised when you see them. Go ahead.
So you hate us so much.
See, it's just the way we're set up that they can't slip. Like they can't slip out that way. You know, it's too bad we didn't maybe move over somehow. So they have to go in front. All right.
I just want to tell you one thing. May 9th, I'm playing at Town Hall. Miles Davis
this is a
project.
big one.
Miles Davis project on May 9th.
Yes.
We do San Francisco Jazz. That's also Miles Davis project in
That's an all-star band.
Yeah. Eh?
That's an all-star group, like 10 people or something.
Most of the guys, those who played with Miles Davis in 72 on the corner, those will be there, you know.
That's May 9th.
Dave, Al Foster, you know, Reggie Lucas, Michael Henderson, if you guys know, all right?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So what we'll do here, we'll just set up a beat, And then I just made up this little, we call it a riff, which really doesn't restrict us in terms of our improvisation, because it just kind of goes up and down. And so Vic and I will kind of take turns improvising freely, but this time over a set rhythm. Okay. So
get into something.
1, 2, 3, 4, kind of around there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just start when you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play the piano that way. I'm going to play the piano that way. Yes, sir.
Hi, Louis. I'm wondering, how do you figure out how to wrap something up? I mean, like, I'm a writer. And
Yes.
And to finish a short story or even a novel, that's the problem, how to finish it. Frank Kermode once wrote a book called The Sense of an Ending, but in music, that's especially the problem.
Maybe some of you have ideas about this too. First of all, I'm very big on having a good ending, and I think that even Coltrane said this. I quote it in my book, but I think it's quite true that the way a tune ends. I mean, after all, that's what you leave the audience with, and that's kind of what they remember. A good ending can make or break a tune. I feel a lot of musicians are not sensitive to that. They just kind of, all right, what the hell? I mean, we'll end here, kind of a thing, or they don't agree on something. So I think that it is important to have a good ending. I like dramatic endings. I do like fade-out endings, which we've done a couple tonight. I think can be effective. Or very dramatic endings, very crisp endings where we all snap at the same time and end are good. And I do think it's something that, especially when you're improvising, musicians don't think about it enough. And we kind of mutually came up with this idea of a fade-out ending on this one, and I think there was one before that we did that on. Sometimes that's nice. And sometimes when there's a groove like this, the percussion starts it and the percussion ends it. You know what I mean? So there's a kind of feeling of endlessness is really what that creates. It's like that percussion group is still going.
With something like this, it's like it isn't over until it's over,
Well, that's true.
Like I know I was thinking that too. Like you and I were playing together towards the end. We went back to that original, this kind of a recapitulation of that,
right.
And then we just kind of mutually agreed that we let the percussion end it.
Yeah.
So it really comes from playing together a lot too, and you get to
true.
know the people that you.
But it could have ended. Just an idea.
Yeah.
It could have ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been cool too.
Why didn't you do that?
Maybe next time. Because I knew you wouldn't listen to me if I did. I knew he wouldn't listen to me. No, I just saw that it was heading somewhere else. But that would work too. Yes, sir.
I was wondering if the other percussionists could explain some of the different things.
That's the next on our agenda. Don't worry. Yeah. That's the next thing on our agenda. Just want to be sure I have the questions about this tune first. That's the next thing we're getting to.
But when Vic just said that you mutually agreed that the percussion would end,
right?
How is that really communicated?
It's a good question because we did agree with it, but I didn't get up and go, "Now, Vic, what do you think?"
Right.
I didn't walk over and we didn't sign a mutual agreement right there. So how did we mutually agree that?
Because we had a rehearsal the other night. And he introduced this little theme, this little rhythmic theme. He said, well, maybe we'll do something with this. And so we started with that. We got away from it and came back to it. And then I could just feel that it was I could feel it dissolving volume-wise. We just kind of pushed it that way. Yeah. And then that kind of left the door open for the percussion. I mean, we could have came back with the percussion too, but it just sounded so good with what they were doing. And that was the big thing about Miles Davis. Like I read once where one of his musicians said, it sounded so good what you were doing, I had to jump in. He said, but really, and then Miles said, well, it sounded good because you weren't playing.
Right.
But there's a lot of truth in that.
It sounded so good.
It's like when people cry, like today, like approaching the tunnel. I was in the lane that was moving, so everybody was cutting over to go in that lane. But the lane is moving because you're not in it.
Exactly. They just ruined your good commute there. But so you know what I mean. It's hard to explain. I heard what he was doing. He heard what I was doing. We all heard what they were doing. So it was kind of a mutual thing. Very often, I will say this. Very often, one person leads the way. And in this case, I felt you were leading the way, Vic. I kind of heard you getting soft when I said, "Yeah, that seems right." But I was kind of doing it at about the same time. It wasn't by much. It was maybe a fraction of a second difference, really. Yes.
it's not too naive. It sounds to me,
Nothing's naive.
it sounds to me like when you say you prepare a riff, you've thought about it before. You know, you've kind of alluded to.
Well, no, we're talking about this. That's not a kind of. We knew we were going to play that. That's the part that was prepared.
Yeah, but they could change from time to time. Yeah, I think I understand. But what I'm getting, yes?
That part is that. This number starts with that.
Each number.
Oh, each number has a different.
Yeah,
Okay.
but my question is, in the true sense of improv, well, I'm not so sure it's the true sense, coming from an acting background.
Oh, okay.
And from a sense of improvisation, can you come to the music with more than one person with a strictly improvisational?
Yeah, we did that about half an hour ago. That one where I started with the kind of space sounds, that was nothing pre-planned on that one. So that can be done, but not everybody can do it, in my experience. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the one we did where I started with the space sounds, was like that. Somebody else had a hand up.
Yeah, back to when you were saying that usually it's one member or another leads. Do you have certain songs where you know who that's going to be?
Oh, no, no, and I didn't even mean it that way. I meant just, in fact, there was a part in I think it was on this improvisation, did anybody notice this? Where you were doing something and I did something exactly with it. Like, maybe it was on the blues before, so it was on this one. It was a rhythmic thing that you did, and I went exactly with it, and exactly when he stopped playing it is when I stopped playing it. And I remember even feeling at the time, whoa, you know, what was that? I don't know, did anybody notice this? You were playing something like da-da-da, dee-da-da, da-da-da, and I was going da-da-da, 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 and then boom, you were done. And we did that together. And those moments do happen. They happen with percussion too. They'll catch something that you do. And so it's not always that somebody's leading. Sometimes it's that you're in the same moment together. And maybe that's a better way to even think about it. You're in the same moment together. You know, like in conversationally, sometimes two people will say the same thing at the same time. You know, it's almost like that. You know? You surprise yourself sometimes. It's a great feeling. So, Karttikeya, you're banging on a lot of strange things over there.
You noticed, huh?
Yes, I like it. But we'd like to know a couple of things. One is how you chose these things, what they are, how you select them. Because this isn't like a kit. You didn't buy this. You know what I mean? You don't go to...
An eclectic kit.
What's that?
This is an eclectic kit.
An eclectic kit. So we'd like to know how you chose these things, what they are, and how you work with Badal, how you decide what to play when he's playing. You know?
Well, it is very eclectic what is here, and I can't really go through everything, but
Go ahead.
there's it's traditional stuff as well as modern stuff, and some of it I purchased, some of it I was graciously given, and it just kind of evolved, and so this here is a log. There's a traditional name that I'm forgetting. This is a traditional log drum from Africa that a friend of mine went to Africa and he brought it back and he gave it to me.
Great.
He said, I know it'll be in good hands. So, and it's got a wonderful earthy tone. It's just gorgeous. And this is rather traditional as well. This is a talking drum, also given to me by that same fellow he brought back from Africa. And it's even, falling apart and everything, but it sounds great. And talking drum I don't know if you can see in there that the drum inside is shaped like an hourglass. And these ropes are all around it tied to the heads so that if you squeeze on the ropes, it pulls the heads tighter so the pitch goes up. So that's why they call it a talking drum, because you can, you know, you can talk with it. They're a lot of fun.
Said the toll just went up at the Holland Tone.
So, so I have some traditional things like that. This is a good next item because this is based on a traditional African clay drum called the udu drum, which is, I just love the clay drum sound, and that also is a traditional Indian instrument called the gattam. And it's Badal has one. It's a big, beautiful clay pot with a hole in the top, and has a very resonant, earthy tone. On the gattam, you can actually put the hole up against your stomach, and depending on how much space you give it, you could change that bass tone. And this one, so this is, you can go online and buy this for less than $100. This is produced by a very popular percussion company called LP, Latin Percussion. And they have a whole series of these drums based on the original African drum, clay drum, but they take it another step, and they put these two chambers on it. And if you play in the hole, if you cover that, I like it. So this is a obvious complement to Badal's tabla, because that's a very common sound in India, is the clay drum with the tabla or the mridangam. Right. And they just go well together. They don't conflict with each other.
Sure. When you say there's a series, different sizes?
Different sizes, different configurations. They'll have different, a low, flat kind of saucer shape. One where this comes off this way, and they're quite a variety. I wanted to get them all as soon as I saw them.
And what's that, like a tea kettle type of a thing then?
Well, this is a musical instrument. Well, you know, as much as that is, you know, it. All right. Like Badal says.
Take my job.
Like Badal says. The drum doesn't know it's Indian. The music doesn't know what it is. So this doesn't know it's a watering can.
Okay.
This the intention of this was to be a watering can, but of course when I saw it, I knew it was much more. It's I don't know if you can really hear the. And then of course if you play it here. And then, actually, if you put water in it, you can get all kinds of really cool sounds. And then, so I actually stumbled upon one of these place I was working, and I saw it was from Smith & Hawkins. So I went there, and to purchase one, I thought it'd be easy, and they had two different sizes.
Alto and tenor.
Of course, I had to get both, and then I pulled all of them off the shelf, and I was testing them all to see which had the best tone. There was one employee there that thought that was really cool, and everyone else was like, "Get this guy out of here." But it's the sound. You know, the sound doesn't know where it's coming from.
Right.
It just is the sound. The sound is the sound.
That's great.
So I knew that was one of my musical instruments. I could go on.
So you more or less you assemble this. So like, does every percussionist do that? Like what they call multi-percussion, just kind of assemble stuff that you want to assemble. There's no set thing you have to have in your kit, so to speak.
Well, that I don't even really know. I play all kinds of drums. I'm mainly a drum set player, and play a different kind of Indian drum as well, and other percussion or hand drums. Also play some keyboard and write music. So it's really just all sound, and in this context, I'm looking for sounds that will fit.
Right.
And especially with Badal, and not compete with him, and fit with everything else.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of as I'm sitting here, I'm listening to what's going on, and I'm trying to imagine or hear in my head what sound will fit within this. Or when it's really happening, you're not even thinking that, you're just reaching for it and hitting it when it needs to be hit, you know, or making the sound, and because that energy is moving there, and so you're adding to it, hopefully.
Yes, very nice.
And it's great. It's a wonderful thing. And these are, you know, it's fun. Look at all these toys, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But it's amazing.
I'm jealous myself.
It's amazing all the different, as Badal calls them, colors. There are, you know. And not just these colors, but the sound. And these are modern interpretations of a traditional seed shell shaker. These are seed shells from trees.
That's a great one. I love that. All right.
So there's a lot of traditional instruments out there, and there's a lot of companies doing their own modern renditions of them. So it's kind of exciting. Nice. These are seed pods from trees.
Sounds great.
See, now we got Badal started, so.
We have time for one more number. Yeah. I think we're going to do gamelan, I hate to tell you. First of all, they're interested in it. But second of all, this piece is a piece that I wrote for the group. And this one's, the only set thing is the rhythm and a scale. The scale comes out of this book. It's a book of Indian scales, but this happens to be a scale that's also used in Indonesian gamelan music. So I decided to write something that's more of a gamelan flavor. The scale is... And for those of you who have been to one of these, been to the first one in October or going to come to some of the others, this may be a recurring theme because I want to see how other people perform this piece. But it actually was written for this group, and so this is really who it's for. But I may bring it back at some of the other events. You know, we did it with Jane Ira Bloom. That sounds good. What piece?
D.
That sounds good. That's Vic Juris, Karttikeya, Badal Roy, Neil's Corner. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Further information about our programs and a complete archive of past Philoctetes events is available at philoctetes.org.